64 Zoo Lane. I love Bukayo Saka rinsing everyone's celebrations, but he is meant to be the golden boy, and I don't want him to ruin his kind of little angel persona. Yeah.
So how is he saying it on national TV, bro?
Have they got rid of the
Yeah,
WWF rule? We are currently linked to one Ivan Toney.
I think you need him badly. For me, I think he might be a victim of the system.
Or is the system a victim of him? Both fan bases need to calm down. I saw Flav, I'm coming for you, Flav. He said managing Brisbane Roar is as hard as a Premier League team.
Is he a clown?
He is a clown.
Hello guys, welcome back to BoreDraw, episode number 64. And today
64 Zoo Lane. Watching.
we are back and we have an absolute bumper packed episode. We had an 8-0, we had the North London derby, we had Man U versus Burnley. One of those doesn't fit in, but we're still going to talk about it anyway. It was an exciting weekend of football. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. We're going to talk about the centrepiece game of the weekend, the one that everyone had their eye on. For some reason, it was at 2 o'clock on a Sunday, not the 4:30. But we're talking obviously about Arsenal 2 Andrew Postecoglou Spurs. And,
We were at the pub for this game, weren't we, Luke?
Yeah, we were. And I had a great time. I had a really good time watching this. Sat there with a nice little beer, watching Roz.
Roller coaster of emotions, to say the least.
Just go through the motions, yeah.
Give me your kind of neutral take on the game.
I thought it was an exciting game. It was two teams who played to the occasion. There were a lot of mistakes in the game, but I think that comes with the sort of centrepiece that is the North London derby. But I thought we saw two teams who went out and played the football that they wanted to play. I think Spurs did it better. I think Spurs put on probably one of their best showings of the season, and I was very impressed with them. I thought tactically they got it spot on. I think individually there was a few mistakes. I thought Sarr in the middle had a very up and down game. There were points where he was searching through the midfield, looking excellent, and then there was points where I was like, "You're so far out of position. I don't know what you're doing on the pitch." I don't really know. There was obviously a lot of controversy as well. We had. Initially, Son scoring, that was definitely offside. The Cristiano Romero handball, that's a topic of debate we can talk about. And then, what was the other big thing that happened?
Jorginho losing the ball on the halfway line.
Wasn't there another? Oh, Eddie Nketiah.
Clark and Vicario, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, starting the game, I thought Arsenal dominated for pretty much the entire first half, as to be expected, I think, with the North London derby at the Emirates. But for me, Saka was the man of the moment in the first half. He was the one that everything was happening through. I thought Basuma and Udogie started a bit slow, and they went on to be two of the best players in the game. But that first 10-15 minutes, I thought Arsenal's press really put those two under pressure. We saw Vicario dispersing the ball unsavourily.
Yeah, he had a few kind of squeaky bum time moments.
We saw James Maddison get dispossessed on the edge of the box, and Gabriel Jesus skied it.
Yep.
Just to rub that one in. But yeah, there were moments where I thought Arsenal lost their composure in front of goal, where I think on a different day they would have put them all to bed and that would have been it. But both keepers as well had a fantastic game. I thought Vicario and David Raya in the Arsenal goal had a fantastic game. Some outrageous saves. But yeah, let's talk about that first goal then. Bukayo Saka cuts inside and Romero sticks out a wanting leg.
Very lazy leg.
It's the right decision to make, in my opinion. He needs to put out a foot there, but he's too late on it, and it comes off his knee, and then the keeper's got no chance.
It's lazy. I think either get your whole body in front of it, or if you know it's just a lazy leg, put your faith in the goalkeeper.
Surely, though, the real question has to be asked of how Bukayo Saka had so much time.
Yeah.
He had an eternity before he even had to take the shot. And you know exactly what he wants to do.
You can't keep showing him into his
He's not like
foot.
Antonio where he can only cut inside. But that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He really wants to cut in and curl it to that far corner. So the fact that he was allowed to be shown onto his left foot and there was no one in there to block him, it was strange to me, because I thought if you're going to double up on anyone, it's probably him or Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
Martin Odegaard is someone as well who I want to talk about, who I think he fell off this game. He ghosted.
Yeah, he started well, and then second half. And I think you can't look too much into individual performances because I think the whole team that second half just fell flat.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this game wasn't filled with a lot of quality. I think there are a couple of players that had moments of quality, like Saka, couple of moments of quality, Maddison, a couple of moments of quality, Son, a couple of moments of quality. But all in all, I think it was just two mistake-filled teams this game. And I don't think the quality was great. And I think what it led to was kind of like a stalemate in terms of both teams were just not at their best level. And I think because Arsenal, in my opinion, our ceiling is a lot higher than Spurs is at the moment, it looks like our drop-off is bigger, which it is because we have a higher ceiling. So say we drop a 4 out of 10...
But you're playing at an 8 out of 10.
And they drop a 6 out of 10. Our 4 out of 10 might be their 6 out of 10 because our ceiling is so much higher. And so I think that's kind of where we're at. We looked like the worst team on the day, and we probably were the worst team on the day. But I don't think there was much in terms of, I don't think Spurs blew us out the water. I thought they were decent. I liked what they did in terms of weren't scared to play it out from the back. Players like Basuma, players like Mickey van der Ven,
he was
very
really
good at playing it out from the back. And I think with Arsenal's high press, it's easy to shit yourself and hoof it long. And that happened a couple of times. But in the Everton game, that's all they did. They just constantly hoofed it long. We regain possession, we suffocate you. So occasionally you have to be brave. You have to play it out from the back. You have to sucker us in and go round us. And people like Basuma, who I think, like you said, started a bit slow, but in the second half when we dropped off, he went to another he went to another level and started controlling the game.
So before we move on to sort of talk about the everything surrounding sort of what this game means, but the Bukayo Saka puts away the penalty, the deflected goal, and then Spurs go up the other end.
Yep. Well, he turns Bukayo Saka. Maddison turns Bukayo.
Yeah.
You see, they're having a little bit of afters about the darts. Yeah, you love to see it. I love Bukayo Saka rinsing everyone's celebrations, but he is meant to be the golden boy, and I don't want him to ruin his kind of little angel persona.
Yeah.
But maybe he is trying to kind of get out of that angel persona and be like, I'm a big man, yeah.
I'll back it. But for me, he's got to do better there.
Oh, yeah, he got absolutely
I don't
spun.
think he expected Maddison to turn. He expected Maddison to recycle back to, I don't know, maybe it was a Dogi.
He just overcommitted to the recycling back and completely allowed him to turn.
And it was a brilliant move by Maddison.
Yeah, it's good.
And he found Son, who was an exquisite finish just off the outside, the inside of his foot and across the goal.
And that was just after David Raya made that mental save.
Crazy save.
So
but
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and then you go into half time and it's 1-1.
I said to you at the pub as well. When we were 1-0 up, I was like, we were in the ascendancy, and I was like, we need a second. We need a third.
You could have had that with Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, and I was like, no way can we go into this half-time 1-1. And then they scored just before half-time, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it led to a long 15 minutes where I think a lot of people who would have... I mean, Spurs would probably be more than happy to go in at 1-1.
Oh,
but
yeah,
for
100%.
Arsenal, that's just like, right, we need to regain control of this game now. We've let it slip at 1, but it's... Start from the second half, it's 0-0. We've got to continue and start how we did the first half, but it never really got out of gear. It was moments where Spurs were in charge, there were moments where Arsenal were in charge, but there was no one who really stamped their authority in the second half of the game. If anything, it was more Spurs.
Yeah, 100%.
Second half kicks off, and then we have
two key things: Declan Rice going off injured, and Fabio Vieira for Havertz, but that's neither here nor there. They both didn't really offer much in the game, but the Declan Rice to Jorginho swap, I think some people at first thought it was tactical. It's come out now that he had a back injury, so can't really do much about it. But that, for me, was a turning point in the game.
Be interesting to see.
Declan Rice, he just goes under the radar. Like Jamie said on the latest podcast, check it out if you haven't seen it. Declan Rice is the biggest 8 or 9 out of 10 a game player. He will just go under the radar, but anytime we lose the ball, he's there. He'll sweep up. He'll keep the game ticking. He'll marshal. And yeah, to lose him in a game of this magnitude when it is 1-1. Sorry, I've got
nervous hands.
ADHD hands. But yeah, to lose him in a game of this magnitude at half-time when we should have been going in the lead and we were going in equal 1-1 when we shouldn't have. Yeah, it's massive to lose him.
You
and
lose
I think
so much control
it's a
of a
turning
game,
point for me.
right? Especially in a game where you're not going to have 90% of the ball. Do you know what I mean? He's there to sweep up those passes, to block the channels, whereas Jorginho doesn't do that as much. He's very good if you have the majority of the ball for the long 100%. Periods of time. But it'd be interesting to see how, obviously, Rodri got a red card at Nottingham Forest on the weekend, which will mean he'll be suspended for the Arsenal game in October. Declan Rice back injury though.
Well, yeah, I've got a note here that we actually have a bit of a mini injury crisis. I don't want to read too much into it because every team has injuries. You see Man United fans moaning about it. You see Chelsea fans moaning about it. I don't want to be another set of fans moaning about it. But we've got pretty crucial injuries across the team at the moment. Timber, who's out for most of the season, he was definitely set in to be one of our first names on the team sheet defensively. To lose Thomas Partey and Declan Rice, that completely throws our midfield out of whack at the moment. To lose one of them would be fine. Like, if we lost Partey, but Rice is still there, you can manage. If you lose Rice, but Partey's still there, go back to like we were last season, it's fine. To lose both of them, that is a bit of a sticky situation. And left wing, we lost Trossard and Martinelli in the same game week, which is not ideal. So
3 players who I think potentially both would have started this game.
So yeah, 100%. So we've got a little bit of a injury crisis in terms of first 11. We've got a lot of players out, and there's something that Arteta's got to deal with. I think it brings into call kind of like our depth. We've improved our depth in the summer window, but it puts a lot of pressure on these. It puts a lot of pressure on these guys coming in, like Fabio Vieira, like Havertz, like
Reece Nelson,
Eddie Reece. These players need to start stepping up.
Yeah, for me, it'd be interesting to see who's the bigger loss then, Rodri or Declan Rice. Rodri to City, obviously Rodri probably one of the top 3 midfielders in the world at the minute.
News coming out is that Rice should be back for... Apparently, I don't touch wood, a lot of our injuries should be, apart from Timber, I think most of our injuries should be back for the City game. I think Trossard, Martinelli, Rice, and apparently Thomas Partey's ahead of schedule. So they could all be back for the City game, which would be huge.
Let's talk about the second half a little bit more. We saw a controversial penalty decision go against Spurs and a Christian Romero. Obviously, your point of view is going to be quite shaded in red, but
it's a pen.
From an outside perspective, I think it does seem harsh, but it is the right decision. If his hand isn't there, it's going in the goal.
Yeah, and then Man United fans are complaining about the Spurs versus Man United when Bruno hit it and Romero had his hand up. I think that's a pen as well.
Yeah, but the problem is obviously we've spoken about VAR at length and PGMOL. But there's no consistency here amongst the decision making. I saw earlier on Sky, what's his name?
Dermot Gallagher.
Yeah, he was talking about how he's lucky. Romero's lucky that Basuma was behind him, otherwise it would have been a straight red. But
that would have been sick.
Surely it's double jeopardy.
I would have got that right.
Is it not double jeopardy at that point?
Fuck knows.
Isn't that one of the rules?
Yeah.
So how is he saying that on national TV, bro? Is he?
Have they got rid of the double jeopardy rule? I don't know.
Is he a clown?
He is a clown.
But yeah, so for me, I thought it was harsh. It's sort of fortunate. Ben White hits it into the ground a little bit, so it's it bounces and then up. But like you say, if Romero's hand's not there, it's going in. So for me, a penalty probably is a fair decision, but it does take into account maybe we do have to revisit the rules yet again and say, look, proximity there. What's he meant to do? His arm's clearly out to balance him. He's not using his arm intentionally to block the ball. But are we going to go back to the rule where it's any contact with the arm is in the box? Is it going to be subjective? It's too difficult to say. And it's
for me, I go back to the silhouette rule. It's not in his silhouette. Even if it is to balance him.
Yeah, but is the silhouette then no arms?
No, the silhouette is arms, but they can't be here.
Yeah, but he's coming from up here to down there.
What do you mean he's coming from up here? He's not fucking jumped in like Superman.
No, but he's jumping down, isn't he? So he's falling.
Yeah, but you don't need to be doing this. In the box, in the 6-yard box, if you do this,
arm because he's count. It's that's balance.
If you're doing this in the 6-yard box, you're asking for trouble.
Let us know down below. Is it harsh? Is it a penalty? Is it not? But yeah, then obviously Bukayo steps up, puts that away, which is good to see him putting away penalties because I
was nervous.
I get nervous every time I watch him take a penalty. Then about what was it?
50 seconds later.
50 seconds later, Son again. Did you Arsenal just switching off after they score?
That wasn't even switching off. That was just Jorginho.
Oh, it was-
And you see, like, the worst part about it was, like, a couple of days before, he put a Instagram picture up of Saka and him in training, and Saka was trying to tackle him, and Jorginho captioned it, "Don't ever press the maestro." And then 2 days later, he got pressed, loses it, and we conceded a goal. So that was an L. But yeah, I think it was just him switching off. Probably like a lack of match fitness, coupled with, like, I don't know, just being a dunce.
Just not up to the tempo of the game.
Yeah,
like,
so it was unfortunate. And
but yeah,
good play from Maddison and Son.
The only other thing I really want to talk about is Eddie Nketiah's tackle on Vicario. For me, I think it's a red card.
Yeah, it's reckless.
It's reckless. It's late. It's dangerous. I don't think he has any right to go for the ball there as hard as he does. Like, if he goes there and he stays on his feet and he tries to block the ball or tackle the keeper like straight up, that's fine. But he's lunged in there, studs up as well, and it's late. The keeper is in clear possession of the ball. It's not like he took a loose touch or anything. For me, that's a straight red card. I don't see any way around. I think you've gotten away with one there.
Yeah, I back it. I think it was reckless. And talking of Arsenal strikers, we are currently linked to one Ivan Toney.
I think you need him badly.
There's a lot of talks about us and Chelsea being the top two. Yeah, do Arsenal need an elite striker to challenge this season?
I think you, Chelsea, and Tottenham are all gagging for him.
Yeah,
I can't see. Brentford are going to be loving this because they're going to get like 80 million for him.
yeah. Apparently they're willing to listen to offers at 60.
Yeah, but I mean, if
bargain.
you, Chelsea, and Spurs are in for him,
Nice little bidding war.
Spurs will dip out at 59,
Yeah.
and then it'll be you and Chelsea, and you'll end up at Chelsea.
But yeah, I think we do need, like we saw with that chance that Gabriel Jesus has, and that is obviously one of those where it's like it could go either way. But in a game of this magnitude, you need to be putting those away.
He is too good though.
Gabriel Jesus is insane.
So I don't understand. Maybe he took Jesus off because he's still getting back to full fitness. But for me, you got to keep him on the pitch, especially in the North London derby. He's the one that's going to either create something or turn up at the right spot.
He brings chaos, mate.
Eddie Nketiah, I want him to succeed. And it was great when he had that like golden purple patch last season because it was like, oh, we're getting vindicated now for what we've sort of seen all along. But he's just not it. And I'm tired now. I can't see him ever being a 20 goal a season striker.
No.
Ever. I can't see him being a 15 goal a season striker.
I can see him being a 15. I think for me, there's just a different level of pressure and expectation when you play for a top six club.
I don't think his IQ's there.
And especially, I think his IQ's there. I think it's just the pressure and expectation of a top six club is huge. And then a top six club pushing for the title, you need a 20. You're competing with Erling Haaland. You were competing with Harry Kane. You're competing with Mo Salah. These guys get 30 in their sleep. So to compete with these guys and get your team title challenging, you need to be a 20, 30 goal a season guy. And I don't think Eddie is. I think Gabriel Jesus probably 20 at a push. We need like a 30. And I'm not saying Ivan Toney is that guy, but he might be that guy a little bit more than those two.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think Martin Odegaard, I don't know whether I've been really unimpressed with him this season. Really.
Luke read one thread.
No, I didn't even read the thread, man. I just
fuck
saw him.
none the wing. Guys, a dunce.
I don't know, like, for me, I think he might be a victim of the system because I think...
Or is the system a victim of him?
Well, that's what the guy was.
That's what the guy was. I think that's what you're trying to say.
No, I don't think so. He's clearly a very good footballer. He was outrageous last season.
He's just got a new contract, so
I think he's
not
playing a
leaving
weird
the
role though. Like, I don't think he's central enough to the system. I think all your best play comes out of going wide to Saka.
Yeah.
And so, how do you then change it up so that Odegaard is in positions that he can influence from that? Because I don't think he's getting tight enough to Saka to play the 1-2s enough.
I think he is.
I don't think it's happening. It's not consistent. And then that is counteractive with you wanting Saka to cut in on the left. Like, how do you then... So then, if Saka cuts in, Odegaard's got to drop or push out wide to bring the player with him to create the space, but it's not happening enough. You never really see Odegaard far out on the wide on the right. I think he's better. His best position is centrally. So the question is, do you need sort of like a more fluid midfield two where you can have maybe him and Smith Rowe, and they can like move about and sort of play as 2 number 10s. Shout out Eni Aluko. Is it Eni Aluko said that? Maybe someone said it. Who's the big centre back? No, Jill
Scott.
Jill Scott said it, and Jermaine Defoe was like, but she has a point. 2 10s, you can't, like, in some systems it does work. You have to have this fluidity, I think, because you have to. Odegaard, he's so good at reading the game, but I think I just don't think he's been played to his strengths enough. I don't know. I'm waffling a bit here.
Sound a little bit like None the Wing here, mate. Guy's got an agenda.
Can you like agree with me? Yeah, that is he playing as good as he was last season?
I don't think anyone in the team is.
Is it a victim of the system?
I think it's a victim of new players. I think it's a victim of injuries. I think it's a victim of we were overperforming last season.
Definitely.
So it's a victim of all of that. We're slightly underperforming now, but when you go from overperforming to underperforming, it's a bigger drop than going from like standardly performing to underperforming.
I'll put together an argument for the future where something to back up my points. At the minute, it's just the eye test. It's not working for me, Odegaard. I want it to work, but yeah. Let's talk quickly about Andrew Postecoglou's Spurs.
Yeah.
This result,
he's doing something.
It could be throwing a bit of Arsenal to the furnace right now. Like a bit of the fan base is getting a bit carried away.
Head, mate.
Arteta out. He's not the one to take us any further. You got to chill out a bit, mate.
To be fair, I haven't seen much of that.
They're clearly on a massive high at the minute. They brought in a manager at the beginning of the season, and it's just worked. It's worked. But it's not been smooth sailing. They've literally had to wait until like the 95th minute to beat Sheffield United, bro, who got bashed 8-0 by Newcastle.
Yeah.
Newcastle, who played midweek in a hard game against AC Milan. So like, you're telling me that this team are just like flying, and I think they're living off the high of Ange.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier when I said I don't think either team was that great. I don't think either team was that bad. I think Arsenal were overreacting, thinking we were too bad, and Spurs are overreacting, thinking they were too good. And I think it's just both fan bases need to calm down. I really like what Ange is doing. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's keeping everyone very calm, even if like the fan base is getting a bit carried away.
But he's also letting them get carried away.
Those players are just taking it game by game. If they're struggling in a game, they'll keep it calm. In the the Sheffield United game, keep it calm, it'll come. In the Arsenal game, 1-0 down, get it back to 1-0. 2-1 down, get it back to 2-0. Keep it calm. He's very good at managing situations, and I think that's because he's been in the game a long time. I think he's got like a 20-year career. So
he's experienced so many different types of football that he's obviously got a massive like big brain on it.
Yeah, he's experienced. He knows how to manage situations.
It's easy to say because he hasn't been in the Premier League before that he won't be able to do it, but you got to forget like football exists outside the Premier League.
It does, but I saw Flav. I'm coming for you, Flav. He said managing Brisbane Roar is as hard as a Premier League team, and I get everything is relative. Brisbane Roar have problems that Premier League teams won't face. Premier League teams will have problems that Brisbane Roar won't face, but
the Premier League is the elite level.
Relativity only comes into a certain level, and then you've got to talk about eyes on it. You've got to talk about money on it. You've got to talk about just level of competition. You've got to talk about
the egos you've got to manage.
You've got to talk about like any like fucking repercussions of actions. You've got to talk about just everything at this level is so much more demanding. So I don't agree that managing Brisbane Roar is the same level as the Premier League, but I do get the like sentiment that he's had.
The gist of what he's saying is there.
He's got a good kind of experience level behind him. But he's doing good things. I think everyone's getting a little bit carried away with Spurs, and I think that is just solely down to not even the
really likable.
Yeah, it's not even down to the Spurs results. It's just because Ange is stupidly likable.
I think as well. I look at that team and I looked at their bench. And I thought Brennan Johnson was excellent. Thought he was really good. And it was weird seeing him out on the left where he's played out wide on the right for Forest. But I thought he did a really good job. He wasn't being asked to track back, which was interesting because I thought Udogie was very capable at handling Saka, especially in the second half. But that first 50 minutes, I do think maybe he needs a bit of help there. But I think Udogie going forward as well is really impressive. I think that could be a really dangerous link-up in the future if they can sort of get that balance quite right. But I looked at their bench, and the only two players that I thought could come on and actually change anything were Richarlison and Solomon. Thought Solomon was all right when he came on. Richarlison didn't really get any time to do anything. He had a couple spin shots on the edge of the box. Didn't really trouble anything. But for me, they're fortunate that they haven't really got European competition this year. Because if they did, that bench would not suffice.
The squad is a little bit thin.
But yeah, I think when Bentancur comes back, it'd be really interesting to see maybe a midfield three of Bentancur, Basuma and Maddison. I think that could really pay dividends for them. I think that could be a top midfield in the Premier League. But
Agreed.
I think they're flying at the minute, and time will tell. The big test will be when they hit a bumpy patch. And how they manage that, because we know how things can turn very quickly in the Premier League.
I think my take homes are Arsenal fans, calm down. We weren't that bad. And Spurs fans, calm down. You weren't that good.
I think, I agree with that. I think, they were good. They were the better team.
Yeah, they were the better team.
But I think also you need to look at it and think, this is probably one of the worst times to play Spurs and one of the best times to play Arsenal. I mean, and during the game, you lost Declan Rice after losing Martinelli and Trossard before that, after losing Timber, after losing Partey. That's 5 key players. Spurs, I mean, I know they haven't got their full 11 yet, but it was pretty much so. But yeah, and they're obviously on a massive high at the minute after just winning every game. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who finishes above who. Arsenal finish above Spurs for you?
Yeah, boy. Although I'm starting to regret the Arsenal to win the league shout.
Yeah,
maybe second.
Do you reckon
City are too fucked.
Liverpool looking good as well, mate.
Nah, I don't know. That Liverpool defence is tricky.
Let's move on to another game. We talked about some game that had 8 different goal scorers.
Yeah. I haven't got many notes beyond 8 goals, 8 different goal scorers.
Yeah. It was Newcastle's performance against AC Milan. I thought they were
under the cosh.
Yeah, Milan were heavily dominant, and Newcastle will be very grateful to come out of that with a draw. But it was a good draw. It was a very good draw.
You'd absolutely take it, yeah.
And Paul Heckingbottom's side, I feel that it's them, Luton, and maybe to a lesser extent Burnley. Yeah, they're in a different league.
Yeah, well, it's very much what you said about, like, how did Spurs go to Sheffield United and struggle to get a win, 2-1 in the 100th minute? And then Newcastle, a couple of weeks later, go to Sheffield United, fresh off of a Champions League 100-minute match against AC Milan, where they were under the cosh the whole game. And then go pipe Sheffield United 8-0. Like, what is the standard here? Like, how are Sheffield United not clocking on to Newcastle playing midweek, and how big a game that was? How are they shipping 8?
We sort of saw it last year with Bournemouth as well. Like Liverpool, I think Liverpool they smashed Rangers with like 5 goals or something, and then they went and drew against someone, and then like a really poor performance. Then they went and smashed Bournemouth, didn't they? I just think the lower teams in the league, they don't have the depth to be able to. That game against Spurs for Sheffield United would have taken the wind out of them massively. Not just mentally, but physically as well. Yeah. They were fighting tooth and nail to hold on to that 1-0. To come back with nothing.
Gutted.
That's horrific. And I think they know that they're in for a really long season, and it's not going to get good anytime soon.
Yeah, they're stuck at the heck.
They go.
What
was it, like 3-0 down within sort of like
not long,
15 minutes or something. It's just.
And Newcastle, they've just got a plethora of talent. Like 8 different goal scorers is tapped.
Once they get going as well, Newcastle, there's just nothing that you can do. And Sheffield United do not have the quality to be able to tactically change things off the bench to stop this happening.
I saw Callum Wilson say that, like, at 3-0, he kind of noticed that they just weren't changing how they were playing. They were just still so open. And it's like, as a newly promoted side, goal difference makes a lot of difference at the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Can't be shipping 8. If you're 3-0 down and you're playing openly, fucking tighten up, mate. Don't just let them run riot.
I think, like, yeah, literally, if you get to 3-0 down within the first half, chances are you're not coming back. Nope. And if you're going to come back, you still need to tighten up that defence. If you're in the Premier League, you should have the capability to tighten up and not concede more than another like goal or 2. Yeah, like that should be the be all and end of it. Or maybe unless you're playing like Man City or something.
Relegate
Newcastle are a good team, but they're not a Man City. They're not going to be able to pull you apart the same way City would. But yeah, it just went, and
It's not good enough.
the
in my
writing's on the
opinion.
wall for Paul Heckingbottom for me.
Yeah.
I don't know who they get in. No one can say who's going to want to go there.
No, it's just that is a kind of not poison chalice, but they've got
You can't
like
win.
poor finances, poor owner like vibe.
They lost their best player in Ndiaye in the summer.
The squad just isn't a
I
Premier
like
League level
Gustavo
squad.
Hamer. I thought he was a good addition.
Yeah.
Cameron Archer's good, but it's not going to keep you in the Premier League.
Nope.
And yeah, like you say, maybe relegate them now, save them the trouble. But for me, them and Luton are in big trouble. I mean, Luton getting a point at...
They should have fucking won, though. Wolves were playing with 10 men for pretty much the entire game.
But then the penalty as well was dubious.
Yeah, so I backed Luton to not beat Derby's point record. And that game, I was like, watching it, and I was like, if you can't beat a 10-man Wolves who are like probably like relegation contenders with you, and you're getting outplayed by 10-man Wolves, it's not good.
Yeah, I struggle to see how this gets any better for these relegated teams. But Burnley, who we'll move on to talk about now, they had a fairly decent showing against a weird Man United team where Johnny Evans sort of ran the show.
Yeah, I'm more confident in Burnley than I am Luton and Sheffield United, and I think that's fair enough.
They've got more quality in
they've
their
got
squad.
more quality around the squad. And but in this game, I saw them outplay Man United. I've said this multiple times on the podcast. I'm not set on Ten Hag. I haven't seen Man United dominate a game of football since that Newcastle, Carabao Cup final. Since that game, I haven't seen them dominate a game of football. I've seen them be good in spells. They were good in spells in the Arsenal game. They were good in spells in the Bayern Munich game. But I haven't seen them, and that's fine. Those games you're playing elite level competition. Against the smaller, lesser sides, no disrespect to Burnley, how are you on 29% possession against Burnley? Man United should be on 60-70% possession against a team like Burnley, especially with an ex-Ajax manager that plays possession-based football. That
You brought in a keeper to build up through the back.
how are you conceding possession this much to a team that you should be dominating? Yes, you got the 1-0 result, and I saw Man United fans buzzing with that. Bruno Fernandes giving Johnny Evans the man of the match. I like that. That's cute
It was
vibes.
a good finish from Bruno as
What
well.
a fucking outrageous finish. Johnny Evans, nice little pinger, mate. But there's deep, like, if you're happy with that and you look at that just surface level, the football isn't for you, mate. You've got to look deeper. That is just not it, mate. I'd be worried about that.
I said this on the podcast with Jamie. I think we need, well, you won't give a shit, but I think time will tell with Man United.
Never give a shit.
Once we see them with their full strength 11, when they get Lisandro Martinez back fit, when Varane's fully fit again, when Luke Shaw's back,
Mason
when
Mount.
Sofian Amrabat's fully integrated, perhaps Mason Mount as well. Maybe if Anthony ever comes back, if Jadon Sancho can get back into the team, I don't know. But for me, there is passages of play are good. I see it, but it's not consistent enough. And you can't play for the moments. You have to play for the game. If you're going to Burnley and you're struggling to hold on to the ball, I don't know what you could do. I think the fact that Johnny Evans was their best player says everything.
Yeah, 100%. Man United should have enough depth to manage a game against Burnley with injury issues.
They didn't create enough chances for a team that had Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Rasmus Højlund in there. Didn't create enough chances for me.
I worry about Bruno Fernandes. I think he's quality, but for me, he's dropping too deep at the moment. And I don't know if
that's because
they've just got no players that can do the build-up. Fair enough. But
and then when they get to
he is their most decisive player in the final third.
Well, Marcus Rashford just decides to take every shot.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford's a problem. We can talk about him next. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes is, in my opinion, their most decisive final third player. And he's nowhere near the final third anymore. Apart from that one run where he went from literally the defensive third to the final third in one run and caught the Johnny Evans pass. Apart from that, he's just not in the final third anymore. And that's a problem for Man United because he is their final third player.
I don't see Odegaard doing that.
What, the kind of run and...
I think Bruno Fernandes is better than Odegaard.
Nah, I disagree. We don't play kind of long ball football. We don't play hoofball.
Yeah.
We're better than that.
I just think I think Bruno Fernandes is disrespected a lot.
No, I think he is disrespected, but he doesn't help himself.
No, the fact that he acts like a rat.
He acts like a rat. He does ghost. I'm not saying Odegaard doesn't ghost.
No, yeah.
But Bruno Fernandes ghosts. And obviously he's in the team that's not performing.
To be honest, though, for me, you say that, but against Bayern Munich, I think he was one of the few players that actually stepped up. Especially when they went, 3-1 down?
Yeah.
He's banged that free kick in. He was the only one really like trying to run the show in that game for me.
Yeah.
And I think that if he can do it consistently in big games, then maybe we'll change that opinion. But yeah, I agree with you for the most part. He does go missing in big games.
But yeah, I think he is disrespected, but I think he needs to take initiative more. He shouldn't, even if he needs to come short to play out from the back, trust someone else to get involved as well. He needs to be in the final third because you win and lose games in the final third, and he is the guy. Like, as much as Rashford's okay, he does my nutting. Bruno Fernandes is so decisive in the final third, and you need him there.
For me, Marcus Rashford, we talk about him now. It's problematic. I know what he wants to do, and he's such a good player, but he needs to look up. He needs to be switched on. He needs to play with the team. What he was doing in that game was detrimental to everyone around him.
And I don't want to keep likening it to Arsenal players, but that's why I never entertain the discussion him versus Saka. Because Saka, 8-9 times out of 10 will make the correct decision. Rashford, genuinely about 2 or 3 times out of 10.
Yeah, he always looks for the shot.
Yeah.
And I respect it to an extent, but then it becomes like if it comes off, great, no one's going to say anything about it.
No, you
get
get
all
gassed.
the plaudits.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's taken. There's like 4 Burnley players between him and the goal, and he's, instead of playing it out wide, he's trying to create space for him to take the shot.
If you're 4-0 up against Burnley, fair enough, do that. But if you're 0-0 or you're winning 1-0 and you need another goal to kind of settle the nerves, fucking use your head, mate. Stop fucking taking 30-yard pop shots.
There's a reason as well. Like, we never see him like smashing assists. Has he ever broken 10 assists in a season?
God knows.
Like, he needs to realise he can't just he's no longer going to be able to run through 4 players and score every game. Like, he can do that when he hits his purple patches. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he can't attempt to do it, but if you're trying to do that 4 or 5 times a game, and like you say, it's 1-0 or 0-0, you're in the wrong sport, mate. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And I want him to do well.
Go to Saudi, mate. There you can fucking run through the entire defence. But
he offers something a lot different to a player like Saka. But his goals output doesn't suggest that.
They're very similar goals output, but Saka will triple his assists.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really have more to say on Marcus Rashford.
But yeah, Man United for me, good result to kind of settle because it was 3 losses in a row, and that's not ideal at any team, but especially not Man United. So to settle the nerves, get a good little 1-0. That's good, but steady your horses, mate, because there is still wobbly times ahead, I'd say.
Yeah, we've got to give him a little bit of time, I think. Once we see that full lineup, I think then we can really, truly judge them for how far they've come. Let's quickly, before we wrap up, talk about Everton. We spoke about the bottom 3 at the minute of Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton. I think Everton are clear.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird one because I had this as a Brentford slapping, mate. I looked at how Arsenal versus Everton went, and I said earlier, they just played hoofball. Jordan Pickford would just hoof it long. We got big centre-backs. We'll just win the first duel and then recycle possession and pressure. And we just suffocate them. And that's what we did. And I'm not saying that Brentford are a similar level to us, but I thought Brentford would have the beating of Everton. But they didn't. This is a bit of a Sean Dyche masterclass, which they pop up every now and again.
Yeah, Abdoulaye Doucouré was, for me, outrageous.
Very
and
good.
I think we've seen it before as well. He's playing a much more advanced role than...
Yeah.
I think he did it for a time, maybe under...
Yeah.
Maybe
he's been used
Lampard,
to playing
maybe.
kind of in a midfield double with either Onana or him and Gay. But now he's been given the kind of advanced role, and Gay and Onana are behind him.
He's too powerful. He's
and
too quick.
Yeah, that midfield 3 is nice. I think Onana's quality. I think Doucouré's quality. I think Gay could be improved upon, but that is what it is. But yeah, that midfield 3 is just robust. It's legs. And Doucouré, we've seen throughout his career, his time at Watford, then his time at Everton, he gets goals. He knows how to arrive late in the box, make the right runs. So, yeah, I think Doucouré putting him in that advanced role is smart because he makes good runs. It's just defensively, I'm still a little bit worried about Everton, but if you can get that Calvert-Lewin backfiring, I like that. He scored a good goal. I like Beto. I think he does a lot of work for the team.
He's a workhorse, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't really get on the score sheet much, but if he starts getting goals to like match his work rate, I like that. But yeah, defensively, still a little bit wobbly. But yeah, I think they're, as a squad, clear of the other guys that we were talking about.
Yeah, it was much improved from their previous performances. I feel like they were lucky to sort of score early on because I think they gave them the confidence to carry on. I think if they missed that chance or they had gone 10, 15 minutes without scoring, the outlay of the game becomes different. They've been struggling for goals all season.
Yeah.
And to score 3 in one game is testament to sort of how they push through. I think, like you say, I think they're clear. Burnley, Luton, Sheffield United. I think maybe Burnley could give them some trouble, but I don't see how this team can't go and stay really clear of these
I
two.
think they'll struggle against bigger teams, but they should be able to outmuscle some of the smaller teams in the league.
But like you say, they've got Sean Dyche though, and the masterclasses do pop up, so I wouldn't be surprised if they manage to nab a draw or even 3 points from a bigger team.
Although, have you seen, apparently they got new owners now, and
is that confirmed 777?
Yeah, I think so. And apparently some players might have to leave. I don't know how or why to like kind of make the owners come in. Apparently there's talks like Onana and Jordan Pickford leaving, so that could be a palaver. And then like Jamie mentioned in the podcast, if the new owners come in and they feel like the need to switch from Sean Dyche, so could be turmoil ahead, but I don't know, just keep calm.
For me, the one thing they need is consistency.
Yeah, and Sean Dyche,
but they're not in a position at the minute where they're going to get that, especially with the takeover. So, yeah, it could be interesting. Let us know down below who out of Everton, Wolves, Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton are going to go down. Because
let us know. Yeah, you're free to go down.
Cause it's a little mixing pot down there. But it's been interesting. It was a good weekend of football.
It was.
But I feel like I have more questions than answers coming out of it. Yeah,
I agree. It's our Arsenal is good. Are they going to challenge? Our Spurs overrated, underrated? Are Liverpool that good? Like they haven't lost in I think 19 games,
longest
but
winning run.
Every game I watch, they're conceding about 45 shots. So there's lots going on. And then Man City are just too good, even with like a red card. They defended well, got a 2-0 win. Yeah. So that's boring. But
yeah, let us know.
Chelsea
down
are so bad.
Chelsea are awful. It's not.
Shout out Villa. So yeah, there's a lot going on. But like you said, more questions than answers at the moment.
Hopefully, time will tell, guys. If you're not already involved, get involved in our Gabriel Martinelli shirt giveaway. He's been injured.
Yeah, poor guy.
He missed this week's North London derby.
He would have bagged as well.
He probably would have. Get involved. Very, very easy to do so. Follow us and AFTV on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you're in. That is literally it. That's all you
We're just waiting for him to bag a Premier League goal. It's coming, trust me.
So yeah, don't miss out. Make sure you get all your friends and family involved in that as well. If you have enjoyed, do subscribe. Go check out our last podcast with Jamie Boyce.
Yep.
Jamie Talks, Copper 90 producer, DR Sports, Donny. He's on everything.
Yep.
Check him out. It's a good episode.
We've got some very exciting content coming out over the next couple of weeks as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Shout out to all the new subs. 1K by Christmas, maybe?
And Roz will wear a Tottenham shirt.
I won't.
For a podcast.
But I'll be gassed about it.
Thank you guys for watching. It's been BoreDraw, episode number 64, and it's live.
Let's go.